London After Midnight was an American silent feature film released in 1927. The film was produced and distributed by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, one of the largest and most influential Hollywood studios of the silent era. It was directed by Tod Browning and starred Lon Chaney, who appeared in a dual role. The production, release, and public exhibition of the film are confirmed through studio documentation, trade publications, advertising materials, and contemporary newspaper reviews. There is no historical dispute regarding the fact that the film was completed and screened for paying audiences. Despite this extensive documentation, no complete copy of London After Midnight is known to survive today. The original camera negative is missing, and no verified distribution prints have been located in any archive or private collection. As a result, the film is officially classified as lost. To understand how a widely distributed film from a major studio could disappear, it is necessary to examine the industrial and archival realities of American cinema during the 1920s. At that time, the film industry operated on principles of speed, volume, and short-term profit. Studios released hundreds of films every year, often with tight production schedules and minimal concern for long-term storage. Motion pictures were considered temporary entertainment products rather than permanent cultural records. Virtually all American films of the era were shot on nitrate cellulose film stock. Nitrate film was valued for its sharp image quality and flexibility, but it had serious drawbacks. It was chemically unstable, highly flammable, and prone to decomposition. Nitrate film could ignite if exposed to heat or poor ventilation, and it would gradually decay even under relatively stable conditions. Once decomposition began, the film became brittle, emitted noxious gases, and eventually turned into powder. During the 1920s, studios did not maintain modern archival vaults. Climate-controlled storage did not exist, and there were no industry-wide standards for film preservation. Storage facilities were often wooden structures with limited fire protection. When space became limited, older films were routinely discarded. Some were deliberately destroyed, others recycled to extract silver from the emulsion, and many were simply abandoned and left to deteriorate. By the time London After Midnight entered production, Tod Browning and Lon Chaney were already an established creative team. They had collaborated on several commercially successful films and were known for exploring dark, unusual subject matter. Chaney, often called the Man of 1,000 Faces, was one of the most recognizable actors of the silent era. He was famous for designing and applying his own makeup, using uncomfortable prosthetics and physical contortions to radically alter his appearance. His performances were highly visual, making him particularly well-suited to silent cinema. London After Midnight was not a low-budget or obscure project. It was produced by a major studio, directed by a respected filmmaker, and featured one of MGM's biggest stars. The film was promoted as a mystery with macabre and suspense-oriented elements. At the time, this combination placed it within a developing genre space that blended detective stories with early horror aesthetics, a style that would later become more clearly defined. The film premiered in December 1927 and received a standard theatrical release across the United States. Contemporary reviews appeared in trade journals such as Motion Picture News and Exhibitor's Herald, as well as in regional newspapers. Advertisements and promotional materials confirmed that the film was actively marketed. While critical reception was mixed, the film was clearly visible within the mainstream output of MGM during that year. It was neither ignored nor suppressed. The disappearance of London After Midnight was not the result of a single dramatic event. Instead, It appears to have occurred gradually through neglect and institutional indifference. The late 1920s and early 1930s marked a rapid transition from silent cinema to sound films. Studios invested heavily in sound technology and redirected their resources toward new productions. Silent films were quickly perceived as technologically obsolete. As sound cinema became dominant, silent films were rarely reissued. Distribution prints were often discarded after use. Original negatives were sometimes destroyed to free storage space. Preservation was not considered economically justified, and few studio executives believed that silent films would have any future value. There is no evidence that London After Midnight was singled out for preservation or that special efforts were made to protect it during this period of transition. One of the most significant archival disasters in MGM's history was the 1965 MGM Vault Fire. The fire destroyed thousands of nitrate negatives and prints stored by the studio. Although there is no definitive proof that London After Midnight was destroyed in this fire, many historians consider it the most likely explanation for the final loss of any remaining materials. By the time the fire occurred, the film was already missing from known circulation, and no confirmed prints had been identified in institutional archives. Despite the loss of the motion picture itself, several secondary materials related to London After Midnight have survived. These include production still photographs, publicity images, original posters, and a complete continuity script. The continuity script provides a scene-by-scene outline of the film, including descriptions of action and intertitles. It allows historians to reconstruct the basic narrative structure of the film, but it cannot capture performance style, editing rhythm, cinematography, or visual composition. These elements are essential to understanding a film as a cinematic experience rather than a written document. In 2002, Turner Classic Movies commissioned a reconstruction of London After Midnight. This reconstruction combined surviving still photographs with the continuity script to approximate the original film. No moving footage was recovered, and no attempt was made to recreate missing images through animation or reenactment. The reconstruction was presented as an educational project rather than a restoration. It demonstrated how much documentation survives, while simultaneously underscoring how much of the original film has been permanently lost. Over the decades, numerous rumours have circulated regarding potential surviving prints of London After Midnight. Claims have involved private collectors, mislabelled reels, and unidentified archive holdings. None of these claims have been verified by professional archivists. Major film archives have repeatedly stated that they do not possess a copy of the film. Nitrate film deterioration further reduces the likelihood of recovery. Even if a reel survived into the modern era, it may now be too damaged to restore or safely project. The loss of London After Midnight is significant not only because of the film itself, but because it illustrates a broader pattern of cultural loss. Film historians estimate that approximately 75% of all American silent films are lost. Each missing title represents a gap in artistic, technological, and social history. In this case, the loss is especially notable because it involves a major director and one of the most influential actors of the silent era. Without the film, scholars cannot directly analyse Browning's directorial techniques or Chaney's performance. Critical evaluation must rely on still images, written descriptions, and secondary documentation. The film exists today as a documented absence rather than a viewable artefact. London After Midnight remains officially classified as lost. It is listed in film histories, academic research, and archival catalogues, but it cannot be viewed. Unless a verified print is discovered in the future, the film will remain inaccessible. Its disappearance serves as a lasting example of how early cinema was treated as disposable and how easily cultural artifacts can vanish when preservation is not prioritised.